Boom, 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 boom. Hello, hi, hello, hi, hello, hi, hi. Welcome back to Popcorn Poppin Live. It is Sunday, February 19th, 2023. Let's jump right in. I am admittedly a little depressed, but the show must go on. So if anyone's watching this, like, hey, why is he so happy? I'm actually not. It's been a week. All right, here are the news. It says news tune, so bum 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 bum. Not much news this week. The Marvels, which is the not the next MCU film, but the one after that with Brie Larson, comes out on November 10th instead of July 28th. Got pushed back 6 months. That way we have more time to shine with other MCU films. We also found out that The Nevers is still not streaming those new episodes, which kind of pisses me off. However, I'm okay with it because I want to rewatch the first 6 episodes. The rest of the 6 did go live on the streaming app Tubi, but it's not on there right now. And apparently they're doing it again March 1st through March 3rd. But when it comes to like on-demand streaming, we still don't know when it's going to be. So there's that. I'll find out more and I'll let you know. But I do recommend watching the first 6 episodes, which you can find on sites that you shouldn't be on. Last piece of news. Big good news for me anyway, and for Guy Ritchie fans everywhere. Operation Fortune Rooster is coming out March 3rd, officially. Guy Ritchie's new film starring Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, and Josh Hartnett is coming out March 3rd. Very excited fucking. So yeah, it sucks it's going against Creed 3. I don't think it'll make any money because it's been pushed back so much. There's barely even any marketing for it right now. But it is exciting to see the movie. All right. These are my concessions. Spotlight film, Ant-Man 3. Just to warn you, no one's watching this right now during the live stream, but if you're watching a recording of this in the very least, I am going to go into spoilers of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantamania. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can't believe Stan Lee is brought back to life in this film. JK. This movie took a lot of big swings. I see why people are divisive about the film, but long story short, I do recommend it to be watched in theaters so you can form your own opinion. This movie has like endgame level fightery in its third act. It's a little long because of that third act, the big battle scene. They definitely could have saved $7 million and 30 minutes, and I still would have been satisfied with this film. But they put everything that they got into this film, and I overall call it Poppin. I do. 90% of the film was green screen. That's a big swing on its own because when you have that much green screen for one film, it gets a little hokey as opposed to seeing like real life sets and whatnot. This film, it worked. It wasn't Infinity War level. In my eyes, Infinity War had some pretty bad green screen. This movie, not so much. It had pretty good green screen. Another big swing was MODOK. I don't know his original origin besides the Patton Oswalt's stop motion series that's on Hulu right now. But I do know that they made a big change with the character becoming Yellow Jacket in this film. I was okay with it. It was a big swing, and I respect them for it. The silliness of this film had to match the silliness and trump the silliness of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think that it had succeeded in that endeavor as well. And also, the lack of the rest of the original cast was a big swing. No Michael Pena, no Judy Greer, no Bobby Cannavale, and sorry for pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sure. And we did have Jimmy Woo, but it was for 1 second, and he didn't have a line. It was kind of a bummer. I'm not saying we needed those characters to be completely back. It's kind of hard to bring all those people into the quantum realm and write for all of them as this Kang shit's going on and the family endeavors. But it kind of sucked that they didn't have any screen time whatsoever besides Jimmy Woo. So the Janet and Kang opening, intriguing introduction of them two knowing each other. I actually dug that because you don't see or hear from Kang for a very long time into the film. So it was good that they opened with that. So it's something for us to be like, huh, they know each other. It was a funny little opening for Ant-Man's character to become a celebrity. They have a little fun montage of being like, my life's weird. It worked. Seeing that at the end worked too. But seeing this in the beginning, you kind of figured that he was going to be some sort of celebrity because in Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan mentions that he has a podcast that she listened to. So I knew that he would be a celebrity, but I didn't know he'd be leaning into it this much. So I dug it. I still dug it a lot. Um, let's see. He was Ant-Man Scott is fun and he has funny confidence. I dug that it seems to be kind of like his retirement life. And he's not what I didn't dig, but I understand is he's not fighting crime anymore. At least it doesn't seem so. That aspect is something I didn't like, but I like the way that they incorporated it into the relationship with him and his daughter. She calls him out on not helping people anymore, and they have trouble connecting because she is growing into fighting for what's right while he is just trying to protect her when he finds out she's getting into trouble, leading to the non-fighting Ant-Man that he is. So let's take a trip into the quantum realm. That scene where they go into the quantum realm was really cool. I really dug that. It reminded me of the scene in Doctor Strange 2 where he first goes through the multiverse and they go through like he goes through like the glass and blah 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 blah. It was one of the few scenes that was good in that movie. This trip to the quantum realm was a fun fucking trip, and the quantum realm is dope. That trip though made me sit up from my seat. And we land into great visuals, interesting creatures. Green screen ain't easy, man. They have a fun aesthetic that matches Ant-Man's humor as well. When it comes to how silly some of the creatures look or how they move, the sound effects of laser beams shooting out of these spaceships as well. It's literally pew pew pew, and it just I don't know. It just I dug that. I dug the anthill scene that they had. I dug that there is a society. I didn't watch the trailer. I'm glad I didn't, because seeing that there is a society made it a lot more intriguing for me. Now, this part is half complaint but half respect. I respect like Michael Douglas's character saying, "Wow, you know what this means? That means that there are worlds and billions of people and blah blah blah. Opens up so many possibilities." It's high concept and it's cool for this movie by itself, not comparing to the multiverse, which is already too much. When I first heard that this saga was going to be more multiverse centered, I thought that that's a little heavy. A billion versions of the characters that we already know while we're being introduced to new characters, a billion of them. And apparently there are a billion different versions of those and a bunch of worlds and blah, 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 blah. That's a lot. And now we got this quantum realm shit going on. The quantum realm shit I know is not really going to surpass what already happened. Maybe we'll get more of Kang the Conqueror because we don't know if he's dead, but I'll get into that later. However, by itself in this film, self-contained, it is really cool that they had that aspect in it. I really respected it for that. Ant-Man doesn't really fight. So non-fighting Ant-Man. It's mostly him running away from shit. It was kind of annoying. The first annoying thing in this film is everyone asking Janet, "Hey, what's going on, Janet?" And her going, "Don't worry about it." "Hey, Janet, how come you know who these people are and they all know you? Don't worry about it." No, bitch, tell us what's going on right now. I understand like it's part of the suspense and storytelling, but it was getting annoying, especially Bill Murray's scene, which by the way, Bill Murray landed that role. He landed the role. He was in it. He crushed that role. Bill Murray usually phones it in, but he had a character in this, and I dug it. But even he goes, "Oh, you don't know who Janet is. You don't know all the things that she's done." Like, yeah, tell us. Just fucking tell us. Ant-Man doesn't fight in this. That was the second thing that annoyed me. He's mostly running away in the first half specifically. And I understood it's because he's in his retirement celebrity status and he's just trying to protect his daughter. I get it. But, you know, dude, you're an Avenger. If you see peril, don't not fuck with shit. Get in there and save people. Instead, he was just running away most of the time. But he was just trying to protect his daughter. Trying to protect his daughter so much that we had to take seriously a Paul Rudd looking up at Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror, and say, "Don't ever touch my daughter." Like, I get it. I get it. It just looked silly. It was a choice that had to be made. We had to see a dad try to be tough for his daughter. But it's like, come on, dude. You're Ant-Man. Ant-Man ain't going to destroy Kang. Or is he? In fact, he does a little bit. Maybe not. But in any case, it was cool to see that. It's just, yeah. So the Wasp, which Wasp was in this more? Definitely Janet. I'm okay with it and not okay. I'm realizing as I'm talking about this movie, there's a lot of halves that I'm experiencing with this. So there's more Janet in this than Hope. It's cool to see Michelle Pfeiffer as a badass. Apparently, she was a pioneer in the quantum realm, hardcore activist that's painted as a terrorist. And it's super dope to see Michelle Pfeiffer in a cool role like this. But she has more character development than Hope, the Wasp that we know. She's always had a lack of character development, but not so much like this. She's like an auntie in this, which is really annoying because Ant-Man never finishes the job. He loosens the jar by getting his ass whooped by a villain and tiring him out. And then she comes in and finishes the job. You think that that person that has that job would have more character development in this film, but she didn't. She really didn't. You kind of forget that her and Scott are even dating. It's kind of annoying. It takes away from Evangeline Lilly, I believe her name is, Kate from Lost, but she's still cool in it. I just wish that there was more character development for her. I thought she was kind of robbed. But I digress. There is a lot of shit that's going on in this film. Michael Douglas, I won't say he was underused because they threw in that storyline with him. The ants, they've become so advanced. Remember that time I was doing this and hearing a frequency? It was the ants. No, we never noticed that. This is silly. This is stupid. But the silly and stupidness fares well with this silly and stupid film in a good way, honestly. Cassie, new casted Cassie. She's cool. I like her in the film Freaky with Vince Vaughn. I recommend it. It's a Freaky Friday horror twist. And she wasn't just some annoying rebellious teen in this film. She was rebellious in this, but she was likable. And I found it fun watching a young hero have the baton passed to her where she's trying to figure out how to be a hero, where she gets nervous about jumping off a cliff. I really enjoy moments like that, and it reminds me of Star Wars The Force Awakens when Rey and Finn are trying to figure out how to control the Millennium Falcon. They're like, I can do this. So Cassie was cool in this. I'm excited to see what she's going to bring to the table for future films. MODOK, it was weird, but at first, but I leaned into it and I enjoyed it. Corey Stoll's back as Yellow Jacket, wide face. I think they could have did a little more with the face. And I feel like they were about to, but Peyton Reed, the director's like, no, this looks silly enough for us to keep. Let's keep it like this. It looked weird, but, he's a punchline. He's a joke, and it worked. All I knew from him was the Hulu show voiced by Patton Oswalt, and it matched this. And I asked other comic book goers, and they said, yeah, MODOK's kind of like that. I'm like, okay, cool. So I think that they did it right. Of course, they changed his origin so it can match the Ant-Man universe. His death scene is my second favorite scene of the movie. It was the only scene that I cried at. They make an overproduction of this really dicky character dying, and he calls Scott his brother, and Scott's like, yeah. He goes, I'm so happy I'm an Avenger now. And he goes, yeah, you're in. I'm already laughing so goddamn hard. His death scene with the music and the camera slowly panning out. Just everything's overdone for this character that's a really stupid character. His reveal, even, where they're like, I don't remember his real name, but they're like, Corey? What the fuck happened to you? Like, everything about him's a punchline, but his death scene was even a joke. And when he finally dies and the music starts to get less depressing and it shows Scott and them kind of standing over them, you can tell they're all like, who cares, kind of, but they're just trying to be respectful. But instead, Scott gives the eulogy of, a lot happened today, and I lost it there. I was crying laughing because I forgot that all of these events in this film is happening in the span of one day. So super funny. Let's talk about Jonathan Majors for a second. He will be, I tried looking up information on other actors that have had this. When Creed 3 comes out, he will be one of, I'm assuming, only a few actors to have 2 number 1 box office movies in theaters. Because I'm not saying Creed 3 is going to beat Ant-Man 3 box office wise, but they will certainly be number 1 and 2. And Jonathan Majors stars in both of them as the villain. That's super cool. I really respect him for that. Later on this year, he'll have a film called Magazine Dreams. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch that, but I'm very excited for him. If you liked his acting in this, I recommend watching The Harder They Fall on Netflix, Lovecraft Country on Tubi. The first half's better than the second half, but you should watch it. I still recommend people to watch it because each episode is more like a standalone episode with its own genre, and it's pretty cool. Also, Devotion on Paramount Plus. That's a great film, and I recommend this for his acting. The film is okay. It's a good film. I just don't recommend it to everyone. It's called The Last Black Man in San Francisco, which you can watch on Fubo, or rent for $3. So yeah, let's get back to Kang and the future of the MCU. So this version of Kang is dope, badass, great acting, hell yeah, threatening. However, he's also a villain that we can we understand his motivations and they seem to be sound. He knows the future and he's trying to save the future from this organization of Kangs. And the conflict is, yeah, but you're killing trillions of people by destroying dimensions. He goes, that means nothing. You don't know what's coming. Like, he keeps saying shit like that. So you know that his intentions are for the overall good of everything, but his thing is by any means necessary. So we have to sacrifice the few, even though it's still trillions, for the entire universe or galaxy or every dimension or whatever. So that in that aspect is pretty cool. The silly conquering Kang. I believe that I don't think this movie. I know this movie wasn't well received. I haven't talked to many of my friends that have seen this yet because not many people have. But I dug it. I see why people wouldn't like Ant-Man and ants defeating Kang. I get it. But if you don't have Ant-Man defeat one Kang, how are the Avengers going to defeat a gajillion Kangs? So I dug it. You have a serious villain like Kang the Conqueror get defeated by Ant-Man and ants. Super dope. And the Wasp. Don't forget her because apparently the production forgot about her. So here are the two big things to talk about. I guess it's one thing. We got our giant push in the MCU. Phase 5 opened up strong. You gave us what we wanted, but you gave us a little bit too much. I am not allowed to complain, but I'm still going to complain. So we're introduced to the Citadel of Kangs. I get what you gave us, but it looked a little silly. You have very different versions of Jonathan Majors. And I always expected to see this, but not all on one screen at the same time this early. But you gave us what we wanted. We said we're not getting enough of what the through line is of this saga. We got it. We got our push. We got it. And it's 3 very different Kangs. One who talks like this, and another one who talks like this. It was goofy to see. I'm sorry, Jonathan. You did good, but it looked weird. It looked very, very weird. I think they could have worked on the scene more. And then when they zoomed out and you see the stadium of Kangs, we didn't. How many did you call? We called all of them. And they show this stadium of hollering Kangs. It looked really silly, but I get it. Now I see where this is all going, where it could go in the very least. Now, my favorite scene of the movie is Scott narrating and everything's walking on sunshine and wait, but maybe we didn't kill Kang. Maybe I'll put all these people to led all these people to their doom, and everything gets serious. He goes, nah, never mind. And then it gets happy again. That's great. I love when comedy fucks with it being serious and scary. And the ending of this film was serious and scary. And I really loved that. But I personally do not think Kang is dead. I think overall, this Citadel of Kangs is the big bad. And that the Kang the Conqueror from Quantamania will be helped to escape in order for the Avengers to help them destroy the Citadel of Kangs. And then maybe they later have to destroy Kang the Conqueror because maybe they'll destroy the Citadel. The Citadel's no, he's the bad guy. And then Kang Conqueror goes, that's right. It was me all along. Either way, I'm glad that we're, getting more of a through line. The Loki stinger was dope, and I'm excited for Loki. Overall, this film, I think worth it. Again, it just was a little bit too long. You could have shaved off 30 minutes and $7 million, and I still would have enjoyed it a lot. It had endgame level action for its third act alone, and no one walked in the theater thinking that there was going to be that much action in it. But there was, and I'm happy that there was. Yeah, I'm just glad that this movie finally came out, and I'm glad we finally got our little door to what is coming ahead for this universe. So, what is upcoming for the rest of the MCU? Well, this year we got Guardians 3 on May 5th, and the Marvels is now pushed to November 10th. I am glad that that's happening because I feel like I want it spanned out a little more. Captain America New World Order comes out May 3rd. I'm glad that the Marvels is in November as opposed to July because we would have to wait like a fucking year for a new Marvel movie. So luckily, we don't have to wait that long. Next year, Captain America New World Order on May 3rd, Thunderbolts July 26th, and the last film of the Phase 5 MCU multiverse saga will be Blade, released on September 6th. I think all those movies next year will be shuffled around a little bit so they're more spanned out. Bob Iger said that he wanted MCU films to be more spread out so each project can have their own time to shine, as it were. So there's that. And television wise, all we do know is they're trying to release Secret Invasion and Loki this year. Secret Invasion, there's no official release date, but they do have a trailer. That's why I believe that Secret Invasion is going to come out probably in April. I think that would make sense. If you have a trailer out already, which I think it came out, last year, you should probably just come out with a fucking television show. But we'll see. It's supposed to lead into the Marvels, so it would make more sense for Loki to be the next television show following Quantamania and have Guardians 3 and then have Secret Invasion leading to Marvels. But instead, I think Secret Invasion is going to come out in April, Guardians May, and Loki in the summer, like in July or June or something, or August, something like that. The rest of the Phase 5 shows also haven't been announced when they're coming out. But What If Season 2, I think it's going to be released towards the end of this year. And the other shows of this phase are Ironheart, Echo, Agatha, and the long-awaited Daredevil. So that's all the MCU news. No more spoilers. So if you're just tuning in or you're watching the recording of this, I am no longer going to be talking about MCU stuff. I'm MCU'd out. Black History pick of this week was Harriet, starring Cynthia Erivo, sorry if I mispronounced your name, as Harriett Tubman. This was basically Harriet Tubman's origin story. On film in cinema, this hasn't been done, I think, at all. And if it has, it hasn't really had a push like this film has. I do think it should have been more successful because Harriet Tubman was a fucking G. But this film was still good, of course. It's just we need more Harriet Tubman movies, I believe. This was her origin story, but here's some of her real history. I did a little bit of research. One of the most famous abolitionists before the Civil War. I don't know many other conductors of the Underground Railroad, but Harriet Tubman helped over 70 souls from slavery in the 1800s. It was once believed to be in the 300s range, but herself had said that the real number is much lower, and biographers believe the number to be closer to 70. If I was a betting man and I was on The Price is Right, don't ask me why. I think she saved 167 people from slavery. She was born as Araminta Ross, which I did not know. That was her birth name, around the year 1820, and she changed it to Harriet after her mother when she was freed. At the age of 12 or her early teens, she was protecting a field hand from an overseer who threw a 2-pound weight at the field hand but accidentally struck Tubman in the head, thus suffering from spells where she would fall into long, deep bouts of sleep for the rest of her life. She believed the hallucinations in her sleep were visions brought on by God, being a devout Christian. I didn't know that she was experiencing these things, and they introduced that into the film, which kind of almost took me out of the film, but I'm glad that it's a real life thing that she believed because it made the film almost seem a little supernatural in a way. I'm not trying to disrespect Christians And I would say from all the things that she actually accomplished, it probably was fucking God giving her visions. But watching it in the film, they kind of made it seem, I don't know, just felt kind of supernatural in a way. Anyways, she married John Tubman around the year 1844. He was a free black man, and according to my sources that I read online, the marriage wasn't as hunky dory as the film made it out to be. So this film took some liberties when it came to her first few times freeing her family. In the film, she wants to rescue her husband first. I'm reading in real life that was her third trip. Her third trip, she tried to save her husband and found out that he got married and got the chick knocked up and decided to stay. In the movie, that was her first trip. But in real life, on September 17th, 1849, her and her two brothers, Ben and Henry, tried escaping because they were fearful of her brothers being sold, but the brothers doubled back in fear of being caught. So Harriet went on by herself. With the help of the Underground Railroad, she traveled 90 miles to freedom in Philadelphia. 19 times she went to rescue people from slavery, and she did this with tactics such as escorting people on Saturday nights because missing slave posters weren't able to be published until Monday, giving them more time to actually escape. She carried drug to put to sleep babies and young children when they were crying or when they were scared. So I thought that was interesting. She also carried a gun for protection against, people trying to stop her, but she also did point it at fugitives that she was actually trying to help in case they were getting too tired to carry on or they're fearful and thinking about doubling back. She would point the gun at them and say, "You'll be free or die." She did this to one of her brothers in the film, and I thought that was a little intense, but apparently she did do that to people that she was trying to rescue. Basically like, yo, we're trying to run away, so this is it. You either die here or you continue with me, because if you go back, you're putting all of us in danger. So yeah, some gangster shit. She was in real life nicknamed Moses. Frederick Douglass compared her to John Brown. Quote, "Excepting John Brown of sacred memory, I know of no one who has willingly encountered more perils and hardships to serve our enslaved people than Harriet Tubman." John Brown was an abolitionist who I will go over a show that he's in later. But anyways, Cynthia Erivo as, sorry for mispronouncing your name, I'm sure, as Harriet Tubman. Great job. She's one of the best actresses out there. If you haven't seen her, I recommend Widows, which you can watch on Freevee. She has a small role in there, but the movie's pretty badass. It stars Viola Davis as well. Bad Times at El Royale is an okay movie that you can watch on Freevee, but she is very good in it. The Outsider, I definitely poppin'. Another show where the first half's better, but the second half literally goes more supernatural. If you like The Night Of, I highly recommend it, but The Outsider, HBO Max, watch it. She also was in a season of Genius where she portrayed Aretha Franklin. You can watch that on Hulu, or you can see her in the Tom Hanks Pinocchio on Disney Plus, not the Guillermo del Toro version on Netflix. We will also see Cynthia again next year in Wicked Part 1. They are making the musical Wicked in 2 feature films. The first film will be coming out in 2024. This film, Harriet, was directed by Casey Lemons. If you liked this, you can check out Eve's Bayou on Paramount Plus. Caveman's Valentine, I don't know where that's streaming. I couldn't figure that out. Talk to Me, I have watched once. It stars Don Cheadle. It's streaming on Stars. And she also directed the new Whitney Houston biopic called I Want to Dance with Somebody, which you can rent right now for $20. Now, to close talking about this film, I believe that this first motion picture about Harriet Tubman was decent. It's a good start. We can do more. But I would like less of an origin story because we just got that with this. And I'm more interested in when she was freeing slaves at the start of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, where she was forced, amongst other conductors, to lead the escape of slaves further north to Canada because the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 allowed the capture and enslavement of fugitive and freed workers. So it's really difficult for them to actually free the slaves until this act came, with this act coming up. But also, we know her more from the Underground Railroad. Doing some research, I didn't realize how involved she was with the Union during the Civil War days. She worked as like a nurse, and she worked in espionage, helping to liberate even more people from slavery. It's really, really interesting. So, Harriet is streaming on HBO Max right now. If you like more stories like this, there's the Underground Railroad miniseries on Amazon Prime. The Good Lord Bird, which is about John Brown, the abolitionist, who I knew nothing about, but it stars Ethan Hawke. It's on Fubo, or you can rent it for $2 on Apple Plus. The Good Lord Bird. Also, there's Underground, which is a TV series I believe was canceled, but it stars Journey Smollett, and it was created by Misha Green, who did Lovecraft Country. And Roots on HBO Max. Next film, Sharper. It's on Apple TV right now. What did I think of Sharper, which is about a con artist that takes on Manhattan's billionaires, starring Justice Smith, Brianna Middleton, new person I haven't seen before, Sebastian Stan, Julianne Moore, and John Lithgow. It was all right. It was more of a movie that should be on in the background while you're folding laundry or doing homework or something. But overall, it's not popping enough that I say, hey, watch this right now. Sebastian Stan has these weird dancing scenes. Only one in this, but he had a weird dancing scene in Fresh. And he has a weird dancing scene in this that reminded me of Fresh. So apparently this is like his new shtick. I do like the character by character storytelling in this film, and it had great acting and great cinematography. It's just nothing was a surprise in the film. When you're watching a film about con artists, you can tell where the movie's going to go. And this wasn't very surprising. Spotlight television show that came back for their final season. First three episodes of season 3, Wu-Tang and American Saga. They're back, baby. It's super dope. I like the historical aspect of the contract deals that Wu-Tang Productions had to go through and the struggles that RZA is having to make these solo albums to help the Wu-Tang. It's really, really good. Check out the show. If you don't listen to Wu-Tang, watch the show. It's really interesting. New show that came on, first 3 episodes on Apple TV on Fridays, is Hello Tomorrow. Follows a group of traveling salesmen hawking lunar timeshares. It's a weird alternate reality where like everything seems like it's in the 40s or the 50s, but there's futuristic shit like hovercrafts. I don't know the artists that there are, but think of the Jetsons. It's basically a real life Jetsons, but it's also about basically a con artist as well, starring Billy Crudup and Hank Azaria. The show is the show is good. I almost said very good, but it's an interesting show that I thought was going to have a bigger like what's going on thing, but it isn't. It's just a weird world with a con artist trying to win the affection of his son storyline. I wanted like a hey, something's wrong here, and there kind of is when it comes to the trips to the moon. But yeah, the show's worth checking out. So I will count as Poppin. Last of Us, we won't be talking about because I talked about it last week. New episode on tonight at 9 p.m. on HBO Max. South Park had their second new episode of the season. Canadians as Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Sadly, we didn't have Kyle running Hollywood. I thought they were going to continue that, but I did like this storyline, making fun of the Prince and Meghan Markle. New episodes Wednesdays on Comedy Central, the next day on HBO Max. Poker Face, the show is still good. I do want them to go. They need to revisit the main plot of her being on the run a little bit more. I like the standalone episodes, but they're a little too standalone. I want us to revisit the overarching plot. This NASCAR storyline wasn't terrible, but there wasn't enough Tim Blake Nelson, and there was too much of Jason Momoa's son lookalike. If you are interested in this show, it is a How Catch 'Em, it's kind of like a Who Done It, but How Catch 'Em. It's on Peacock Thursdays. Poker Face. Shrinking, recommend it still. Super fun show. Has a lot of really good little moments. Recently widowed psychiatrist is still having trouble mourning the death of his wife. So he decides to say, fuck sugarcoating, and tells patients exactly what he thinks they should do. He also has trouble reconnecting with his daughter. Harrison Ford plays his boss daddy, and Jessica Williams is his co-worker. Highly recommend the show. Fridays, Apple TV. Servant, the season's still very, very good. I've been talking about it for weeks, so I won't go over the storyline of that again. But Leanne is straight gangsta killing some people, man. Dorothy's getting close to finding the truth about her baby. She already found out. She discovered that Leanne was the girl that she interviewed when she was a kid. So, we're starting to culminate all the secrets, and that's very, very exciting. Apple TV Fridays. Bad Batch. Last episode was okay. It was a sad episode of Omega missing Echo and trying to keep her family together. Disney Plus Wednesdays. It's okay, man. I don't know. It can be better. Other things that are streaming. I checked out Remember on Netflix. It's a weird Japanese film about 6 high schoolers stuck in a murderous time loop, must find the scattered remains of an unknown victim to break the curse and finally see another day. It's a wild film. I recommend it if you're at a party and you want something on in the background or you're playing a board game with friends, but it's not a movie you should sit down and watch because it's fucking weird. But don't forget, there's an after credit scenes that makes almost no sense. Other things that are streaming are The Upshaws season 3 on Netflix, Star Trek Picard season 3 on Paramount Plus, Animaniacs season 3 on Hulu. And I didn't know The Woman King is on Netflix, y'all. So check it out. Super, super good. Now playing in theaters besides Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantamania, are Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which is the horror Winnie the Pooh, Marlowe with Liam Neeson, and that's it. That's the only other things that are in theaters that I find interesting. Here's what's coming out next week that is not part of the Popcorn Movie Club. I promise we're reaching the end in case you're watching this. No one is right now. But Die Hard the movie, when Quibi was a thing, I don't know if you remember it. It was an app where you can have a subscription for it, and it was like 10-minute episodes of things. Die Hard was a television show that was actually really fucking funny. They're re-editing it to be like one movie, which I'm guessing would be like an hour long, but it will be on Amazon Prime February 24th. Following has already been greenlit a second season of Die Hard called Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which will also star John Cena, Ben Schwartz, and Paula Pell. So Die Hard, February 24th, Amazon Prime. And a couple other movies I won't get into, but they look kind of interesting. You can watch the trailer for Bruiser on Hulu and Nocebo on Shudder. Popcorn Poppin' Movie Fan Club. The spotlight film of next week is Cocaine Bear. Just how it sounds. Didn't watch the trailer, but know it looks good. Coming out February 24th in theaters. Wednesday, Netflix will be a film called The Strays. I only watched 20 seconds of the trailer, and it looked pretty interesting. The log line is as follows. A black woman's meticulously crafted life of privilege starts to unravel when 2 strangers show up in her quaint suburban town. This looks pretty interesting. It's on Netflix Wednesday the 22nd. We Have a Ghost, I think, will be what most people are going to be talking about besides Cocaine Bear. Comes out on Netflix Friday the 24th. Has Anthony Mackie and David Harbour in a silly ghost movie. I didn't watch the trailer. I was already sold on David Harbour and Anthony Mackie. That alone, but in them in a comedy, ghost comedy, I'm down. And for the final film that will be in the Popcorn Movie Club is the Black History pick of Bessie, which is on HBO Max. It stars Queen Latifah as Bessie Smith. It's the story of the famous blues performer who rose to fame during the 1920s and 30s. TV show-wise, Snowfall would be the spotlight film, but I, for personal reasons, am not going to continue the show. Hopefully one day. I miss you very much. But it is coming back. It will be the season premiere, the final episode, airing on FX 22nd and Hulu streaming 23rd. Snowfall. So that's the spotlight show of next week, but I'm not going to be watching it. I'm just putting it to the movie fan club because I think all of you should watch it. Party Down Revival will be on the 24th, streaming on Stars. I will be talking about that. If you haven't watched it, it's on Stars. It's very funny. The only thing that sucks about this new season is the main girl will not come back, and I can't remember her name right now. Damn it. Just give me 1 second. I always call her Zoe Deschanel lookalike, but that is not her name. I know this is Lizzie Kaplan. Lizzie Kaplan won't be back in the show, so that's why I'm a little less excited for it, but it'll still be funny, I'm sure. The other show I will be adding to this, because I think like the new thing I'm going to do is have, I know I have 4 movies for next week, but I want to do 3 and 3. Even that's a lot, but whatever. The third show that I picked, I don't know if it's going to be that good. but it stars Christoph Waltz. So that's why I'm giving it a shot. It's called The Consultant. It follows a relationship between employee and boss, asking how far we will go to get to head and to survive. I watched the trailer and I was semi-interested, but it's Christoph Waltz. I'll give it a shot. It's showrun by Tony Bascalop, who created Servant. So that's another reason to watch it. This will be streaming on Amazon Prime February 24th. So that's it for the Popcorn Movie Fan Club. Before I let you go, heads up on the weeks to come. Creed 3 releasing March 3rd. So if you want to catch up on the Rocky Creed franchise, you can watch all the Rockies on Netflix or Paramount Plus. And Creeds 1 and 2, you can rent for $3 or $4. You're not streaming anywhere, sadly. But The Mandalorian's coming back pretty soon, March 1st. So if you're not caught up yet, Disney Plus, you got to watch Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 and Mandalorian Season 2.5 titled The Book of Boba Fett. Thank you very much for watching. I know some people came in. No one's here now, but if you're watching a recording of this, I really appreciate it.